You're 8 years old and something like that happens, and they turn into heroes. They turn into legends.
Now we'll just break it off to our little six-a-side of our all-time six-a-side. The Netherlands, Holland, the Dutch six-a-side all-time.
Sort of like a formation for an all-time six with a goalkeeper, two defenders, two midfielders, and a forward. Looking at them in their primes as well, of course. Goalkeeper is going to have to be Edwin van der Sar. He's the best modern goalkeeper we've ever had. I mean, we've had great goalkeepers in the 50s, but that's before my time as well. So I'm just going to go for Van der Sar, who's one of the best goalkeepers ever. I say two defenders, two smart defenders, tough, who can do anything, good pass, good shot, good technique. Maybe not ultra quick, but they've got the brains. So Ronald Koeman, Barcelona days, all his free kicks, all his penalties, and Virgil van Dijk as current. Tall, big, good at everything, great headers. Midfield is going to be a combination of two very, very skilled, intelligent, technical players. Maybe a slight surprise, but I'm going to go for Clarence Seedorf.
Okay.
And Wesley Sneijder. Sneijder, pretty much the perfect two-footed player. And up front, I'm going to go for one, and that is, if I'm going to go for one striker, that's really difficult. I could go for all time. I could go for Johan Cruyff. Johan Cruyff is really the best player we've ever had.
That's why I'm wearing his jumper.
The number 14.
I hid the number 14 up till this moment, but I thought I'd just reveal it there. I've been sitting like that with just the Dutch player. But yeah, number 14 on my jumper for those watching.
Number 14. Johan Cruyff is for the Dutch football person, the best Dutch football player ever. Okay, maybe if you're younger, you don't really understand, you don't really appreciate Johan Cruyff that much, so you're going to go for someone slightly more modern.
I have to say, we at Friday Night Counter Attack, we love Johan Cruyff. We love the fact that he created his own move. We love the fact that all of us, no matter how good or bad we are at football, we can all do it. We love the fact that he's on FIFA and like Ultimate Team is so good on there. But it's just the fact that he was before our time, so we never got to appreciate him properly.
Johan Cruyff should be in there for historical purpose, but if we go to slightly newer, that's so difficult if I'm going to go just for one striker. But just because he had slightly more magic moments than the other forwards, so I'm going to go for Bergkamp.
Dennis Bergkamp.
Dennis Bergkamp, yeah. You can't really go wrong with Van Nistelrooy or Van Persie either, but I'm going to go for Dennis Bergkamp because he had some of the magic touches that was surreal.
That goal against Argentina for the Netherlands as well. It's just the fact that Dennis Bergkamp was someone that no one appreciated until he left the game, until he left the English game, I should say. The fact that he was someone that we enjoyed as English fans, and he was someone that added a lot of grace and a lot of class on the pitch as well. But how did you see him as like a Dutch striker for yourself, Jeroen? Because obviously you had the '98 World Cup. How did you kind of do in like '96 and '92 when he was kind of in that era, I would say, just before the '98 World Cup? How did you find that in those Euro tournaments?
I mean, we had Van Basten in 1988 when we actually won the European Championships, and essentially Bergkamp was the next fantastic forward.
Yeah,
he was amazing in the Dutch leagues, and he was important for the Ajax as well. Just after him, actually, got the Kluivert. You actually followed up Dennis Bergkamp. Bergkamp was so graceful. I mean, if you look at pure clinical finishing, I would say, okay, maybe Van Nistelrooy and Van Persie are actually better. But if you look at technically what they can do with the ball, then Dennis Bergkamp is just so graceful. It's almost like ballet at times.
Yeah.
And if you look at Arsenal, if you look at his goal scoring record, it wasn't not that phenomenal. It was quite good, but it's not. Bergkamp is not your all-time best Arsenal finisher, but just what he can do with the ball is just that is how we remember him.
Dennis Bergkamp was a scorer of great goals as opposed to a great goal scorer, basically. Yeah, that's how I see it. Is a scorer of great goals. The goal against Leicester did really well. Argentina, obviously, I mentioned before. And there's so many others that he did in a Dutch shirt and mostly in an Arsenal shirt from what I've seen as well. But just to confirm your team, you had Van der Sar, you had Van Dijk, Ronald Koeman, Clarence Seedorf, Wesley Sneijder, and not Johan Cruyff, not Van Nistelrooy, not Van Persie, but you went for Dennis Bergkamp as your six. Here's my six aside. I've been thinking about it all day, and it's probably one of the hardest ones we've ever had to do on this podcast because you have ridiculously talented players, past and present, and even in the future, like the young players coming through. Let's start off easy, going for one goalkeeper with Edwin van der Sar. I'm not leaving him out. The fact that he's done really well for the Netherlands as well. He got them to the semi-finals, if I remember, in the Euro 2004. Couple of penalty saves in the penalty shootout against Sweden, if I remember correctly as well. That was my first Euros tournament, so that's how old I am, you can tell by that age as well. One defender, Jaap Stam. He was someone that was there in Euro 2000, sorry, your host tournament as well. Wait, he was okay in that team. I'm not sure if he was there in 2004. He may have been. I can't remember, to be fair. But yeah, this is where it gets a bit ridiculous. So I've got 4 strikers in my team.
Well,
first of all, Johan Cruyff, number 14, the man, the myth, the legend, the fact that he's done so much for the beautiful game, he's kind of created the beautiful game. I believe he's one of the pioneers of football, Johan Cruyff, the fact that not just because as a player, but as a manager as well, the whole total football thing. Kids these days will never understand the impact he had on football in his era, playing the way he did. I also will never appreciate it. The fact that it's now seen as common in our game in this era, in this decade as well. Number 2, Robin van Persie. Love the guy, absolute wonder of a left foot, amazing at set pieces, amazing crossover the ball, brilliant finisher. Someone that I believe should have done better at Euro 2012. His head wasn't in the right place after that season with Arsenal. We ended up going to Man United and winning the league. But I think he could have done so much better. I know he's like your all-time top goal scorer, but it would have been nice to see him win that trophy in 2010, the World Cup.
Yeah, that would have been very nice.
If Robin had finished it. I'm not going to put Robin in. I want to put Robin in.
That's going to torment us for the rest of our lives, really.
At least you got to a final. We're stuck with semi-finals here in England. We're stuck with if Harry Kane would pass it in that Croatia game to Sterling. So
if Casillas would have worn a shoe that was one size smaller, then it would have gone in.
Exactly. Then we're going for Ruud van Nistelrooy, one of my favourite strikers of all time, someone who I grew up and I adored as a striker, someone I believe is someone that really, again, a lot of these modern Dutch players missed out on European glory or World Cup glory, but they deserve European trophies, to be fair. Ruud van Nistelrooy never won a Champions League. He won Premier League titles, he won a La Liga title, but he never won a Champions League, or he never won an international tournament. But I believe, again, 2 great goal scorers in there with Johan Cruyff. I wish I would have seen play in my era, Marco van Basten. Like for me, I love learning about like these old football players from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I love learning about them. And this week, because you were on as a specialty, I thought I'd learn a bit more about Marco van Basten, about the fact that he can't even walk properly now. He can barely kick a ball because he's injured, because of the trauma that he suffered as a player, the injuries that he suffered. But the fact that he kind of completed a career at the age of 25, he won 3 Ballon d'Ors. He scored that amazing goal against the USSR in the final. And like you mentioned with Dennis Bergkamp, he was likened to a ballet dancer, the way he would play the game of football. There's a book in the Netherlands, I think, about how he's like likened to a swan or something, which is quite cool, like a children's book. But Marco van Basten is someone that I wish I would have seen play in his heyday. He's a proper number 9 from what I've seen on YouTube and learned about him as well. Euro 1988, that was when you won the Euros, wasn't it? That was his. That was when he scored, wasn't it?
That's correct. Yeah, that was the game against the USSR as well. Yeah, and his ankle was actually he was injured actually at that game. He was able to play, but he wasn't fully fit. And they suggested that the only way that he was able to score that goal, because his ankle was kind of half twisted. But yeah, that was. I mean, I was 8 years old. And nowadays, if I see footballers do something fantastic, oh yeah, okay, that's nice. But when you're 8 years old and something like that happens, and they turn into heroes, they turn into legends.
And it was like an amazing cross. The fact that it was in Germany, wasn't it? Was it in Germany?
Yes, it was.
You won it in your rival's back garden as well, so that must have been amazing to win.
And that was very, very hectic, because it was Holland against at that time West Germany. Germany really had the more attitude players. They weren't the fantastic side, but they had
Rudi
Völler, the mean guys. Yes, exactly. Matthäus Völler, Augenthaler, the tough German guys, and we had the more gracious guys in Van Basten, Gullit, Rijkaard. Although we had Koeman and Van Aarde, who were able to knock the attackers about as well. But this incident between Rudi Völler and Van Rijkaard, the spitting incident, is historical as well.
No, it was good to kind of research and learn a bit more about Marco van Basten.